Hardly she availed, wallowing to bear and live. Now, this is a very interesting thing because I have a quote from, actually, a letter from Sri Aurobindo. Uh, and the reason I'm going to read it to you is because he is so absolutely specific about every word. We don't think about that, but even an and a the is important to Sri Aurobindo. So the correspondent wrote to him and wanted to change hardly to barely. Barely she availed, wallowing to bear and live. And Sri Aurobindo writes to the correspondent, "You're barely enough, instead of the finer and more suggestive hardly, falls flat upon my ear. One cannot substitute one word for another in this kind of poetry, merely because it means intellectually the same thing. Hardly is the most juste in this context, and repetition or not, it must remain unless a word not only juste, but inevitable comes to replace it. On this point, I may add that in certain contexts, barely would be the right word, as for instance, there is barely enough food left for 2 or 3 meals, where hardly would be adequate, but much less forceful. It is the other way about in this line. Hardly she availed, wallowing to bear and live.
There is something sorry. I wanted to make a very kind of interesting observation with Sri Aurobindo. He refers to what we know, what he actually examines in the Vedas and as the etymological system, the sound meaning of the sound. It is here very vivid. It creates another meaning. Yes. Oh, you can't hear me. Can you hear me? No?
I can hear you.
Okay. So I was saying that, okay, I can connect better because this is an important thing. You read several times to us this, barely and hardly. And every time I think about it and never speak, but now I want to speak since it is New Year on this particular topic of sound meaning of the sound. Yeah?
Yes.
And Sri Aurobindo knows about this. Krishna revealed to him the ground for all languages, or the common source for all languages. So just let me say something which is complicated, but I want to say this. Several times you read this barely, hardly. First of all, if we listen to the sound, so barely has to bear, barely to bear and live is like a little bit two different dimensions of word bear. They are etymologically very close related through the sound.
Yes.
And they change the meaning, make it not...
I don't think he would ever use bear and barely.
Yes, it's first... Right.
No, please continue.
The other thing, that's what I wanted to say, that he doesn't speak about this here, but he says in some context, barely would be great, barely enough food is really true, because to bear food, it is etymologically and semantically proven or justified. Hardly she availed is much more, different meaning, totally different meaning. It's like to be available with difficulty, not with kind of it's another meaning, not with how to put it. Barely has another dimension, which is which he doesn't want to introduce here semantically, meaningfully. And this, if we compare different um, synonyms, for example, if we take great ocean or big ocean or huge ocean, I'm always comparing. These are three different meanings for Sri Aurobindo as a poet, yes? Great ocean or huge or big, and he would feel the sound, the meaning of the sound, which it is invoking. And he doesn't explain it here, but he speaks about this in the Veda, in the origins of Aryan speech. He speaks about the meaning and the sound. So, and he's using it constantly. And this is something amazing. This is what you are reading. Really, it is an amazing thing to feel language so deeply to the root, to the very root, because root generates the first significance. And if it is not matching the first significance, then poetry becomes very vague, very elusive, not powerful, not true enough. Yes. And in the Veda, they use precisely words, very precisely to the root, and that creates the power of mantra.
Yes.
Thank you, Narad, for this. Sorry to take so long time for this.
No, it was needed. We need to hear, because you see, there is this sound significance in the mantra that always touches me so much. Iambic pentameter is the chosen pentameter for the greatest epics also. I believe Virgil used it. I believe Milton used it. Maybe even Dante. So this hardly she availed, wallowing to bear and live. You see, there is an anapest in there. I'm not very good on the different types of words in poetry. Deshpande is a genius in this, and we could ask him that. But
Rod also, yes.
Who?
Rod, he analyzed everything, especially in Savitri, this white meter, because this is pentameter, but it is also a white kind of elusive or suggestive many times, as it is here. It's not exactly, syllable to syllable. There are sometimes syllables clubbed into one.
Yes. And otherwise it would be very boring to read it.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So we'll carry on then. Yeah. Here, the word availed. Hardly she availed. Availed means to have the necessary force to accomplish something. So hardly she availed, and she's also wallowing, and we talked about wallowing before. The hippopotamus loves to wallow in the mud and water. Hardly she availed, wallowing to bear and live. A wide, unquiet mist of seeking space, a rayless region swallowed in vague swaths. So here he wants to use that alliteration, swallowed in vague swaths that seemed unnamed, unbodied, and unhoused. Three uns, a swaddled, visionless, and formless mind asked for a body to translate its soul. Now, look at how he uses these words. Swallowed, swaths, swaddled, 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 swallowed, swaths in 3 lines. And then unnamed, unbodied, and unhoused, 3 uns. This is extraordinary poetry. So we see that this rayless region that is swallowed in these vague swaths. A swath is something like a formation, such as a cloud or a mist that appears to envelop something. So this rayless region has no sun, of course, swallowed in vague swaths that seemed unnamed, unbodied, and unhoused. Unbody, of course, is having no body, not invested with a body. And that's why he takes unbodied and then body 2 lines later, asked for a body to translate its soul. So unhoused, of course, unhoused is homeless. So it seemed unnamed, unbodied, and unhoused, a swaddled. Now, what is a swaddled? Here it means something that's like almost wrapped in a bandage, bound, wrapped up, swaddled, and formless mind, asked for a body to translate its soul. Interesting, to translate its soul, to change from one form or function or state to another, to convert actually, or to transform. Its prayer denied, it fumbled after thought. Well, when we fumble for something, we grope clumsily looking for something. Its prayer denied, it fumbled after thought. As yet, not powered to think, hardly to live, it opened into a weird and pygmy world where this unhappy magic had its source. Now we find out about this world. Wow. So this force is not powered to think, it's hardly able to live. It opens into this weird and pygmy world, and that's the place where this unhappy magic had its source. Now he's going to go deeply into this. On dim confines where life and matter meet. So we could say on dim confines where life and matter meet. These are dim confines. They're limits of an area. They're borders. They're bounded areas. Or they can even be restraining elements. So they're dim confines. And this is where life and matter meet. He wandered among things half seen, half guessed. We have to remember now, this is Ashwapati going through this world stair and meeting all these kingdoms on different planes. So he wandered among things half seen, half guessed, pursued by ungrasped beginnings and lost ends. Why? What has happened here? There, life was born, but died before it could live. There was no solid ground, no constant drift, only some flame of mindless will had power. What a vision of this plane. It's so extraordinary. And himself, this is Ashwapati, himself was dim to himself, half felt, obscure, as if in a struggle of the void to be. Well, as if occurs so often in Savitri. Sri Aurobindo is giving us a vision of something, and he doesn't tell us that this is the way it is. He says, as if. Very often he uses this in a struggle of the void to be. It seemed is another phrase he uses very, very often. So Ashwapati is dim to himself. He is half felt, he's even obscure, as if in a struggle of the void to be. And of course, the void we've talked about many times. We've gone through Sri Aurobindo's definitions. And anytime anyone wants me to go through them again, I'll be happy to do that. In strange domains where all was living sense, but mastering thought was not, nor cause, nor rule. Only a crude child heart cried for toys of bliss. Mind flickered, a disordered infant glow, and random shapeless energies drove towards form and took each wisp fire for a guiding sun. A couple of important things here, very important. These strange domains where all was living sense, but thought is not there, nor cause, nor rule. Now, look at the next line. Crude child cried. Only a crude child heart cried for toys of bliss. Mind flickered, a disordered infant glow, and random shapeless energies drove towards form and took each wisp fire for a guiding sun. Well, a wisp fire is a very thin puff or streak, such as a streak of smoke or a puff of smoke, a slender trace. Vladimir, you want to add something here? Because this is quite an area we're getting into.
I was just tracing back how I recognize myself in this state. So many times it is like you have no orientation and you cry for toys of bliss, no cause, no rule, no mastering thought. You are just a matter of this vital searching for something to munch on or to enjoy in the evening, some Netflix or some nonsense. And this is a state of consciousness which we somehow unknowingly accept. Without really tracing that we don't need to stay there. We have a choice to rise above, to invite a mastering thought, yes? To see the cause and the meaning. We don't need to obey this level of consciousness within us, which lives, of course. Somewhere there it always lives, always kind of tries to come back to life in us, in our consciousness, to possess it again. And many people live on this level without any even thinking of.
Absolutely, absolutely. And it does come back. It comes back again and again until it's at least partially eliminated from the being. Yeah. Well, now I go to the next page. So, this blindfold force could place no thinking step. Asking for light, she followed darkness' clue. And I think that's what you were saying there, Vladimir, that we ask for light and we so often follow darkness' clue. An inconscient power groped towards consciousness. And here, inconscient is used as an adjective to power. And power is capitalized, capital P. So it's an inconscient power, a power that is inconscient and groping towards consciousness. And let's move on a little bit more. Matter, smitten by matter, glimmered to sense. Interesting statement here. Matter, smitten by matter, glimmered to sense. How can matter be smitten by matter? Vladimir?
This is something what
From the Vedas?
yes, what he is using, this vision of the annam. Yes, ahamannam, 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 ahamannado, ahamannado. This Taittiriya speaks about the matter. So ahamannam annamadmi. So I eat the food and the eater of food, it ends with this. So matter is an interesting thing. It is actually the divine being, but incarnated in time and space, yes? And
Yes.
so to say, everything belongs to matter. Everything starts with matter, returns to matter, whether we want it or not, yes? In this embodied state, everything is ruled by matter. And matter smitten by matter, matter which takes matter in, because the oneness is to be maintained and the process of evolution is to be going on, glimmered to sense. I was thinking actually even more about this inconscient power groped towards consciousness. It is that which allows us to be in that state, actually. Because inconscient power in us, which we inherited as this body and everything in this life, wants consciousness and seeks for it. And because of that, we are drawn to the darkness. We call for light, as he says, but follow the darkness clue. Why? Because it is somehow this constant process of growth of consciousness and transformation. And this is how it is permitted for us to fall down. Because we bring there some glimpse of, or some higher level of consciousness which helps this, inconscient to find some trace of light.
Very good. So, matter, smitten by matter. When you smitten, you whack it pretty hard. Glimmered to sense. Now, matter, of course, is a structure of energy. And this energy is hitting against another energy. And that makes it glimmer. A little bit of light comes in, glimmer to sense. And blind contacts, slow reactions, beat out sparks of instinct from a cloaked subliminal bed. Wow. Sensations crowded, dumb substitutes for thought. Perception answered nature's wakening blows. And after that, this interesting thing comes here. But still was a mechanical response, a jerk, a leap, a start in nature's dream. And rude, unchastened impulses jostling ran, heedless of every motion but their own, and darkling clashed with darker than themselves, free in a world of settled anarchy. Oh, we could talk about this for so long, but this is very important. What is actually happening here in this plane of existence when life wants to come out? And only there are blind contacts and these slow reactions beat out sparks of instinct from a cloaked subliminal bed. Cloaked, of course, is covered as with a cloak. And subliminal, well, we've done that so many times, but I recommend that if anyone has the lexicon to look up these words, inconscious, subliminal, to really understand what Sri Aurobindo is telling us. Sensations crowded, and they are dumb substitutes for thought. Well, sensations are dumb substitutes for thought. But remember, dumb here is never stupid. That is an American colloquialism, probably. Dumb just means empty or silent. So these sensations are silent substitutes for thought. Now, perception is going to answer. Perception answered nature's wakening blows. Well, this is very interesting. Nature's wakening blows. And note that he capitalizes nature here. This is not our nature. This is universal nature. And perception answered these wakening blows of nature. But still, everything was just a mechanical response. A jerk, a leap. You can feel this pulsation, this strange movement, this jerk, this leap. That is a start in nature's dream. And notice again, he capitalizes nature here. And rude, unchastened impulses jostling ran. Well, unchastened is certainly not restrained from excess, not subdued or tempered by anything. They're just rude, in fact, rude. And rude here is coarse or vulgar to me, almost violent sometimes in action. And rude, unchastened impulses, of course, are motions or drives or instinctual urges. Rude, unchastened impulses jostling ran. Jostling, when you jostle someone, you come in contact with them, you push them or you shove them. Heedless of every motion but their own, and darkling, interesting, not quite very dark, because it clashed with darker than themselves.
It's darkening, yes, or something.
This is darkling.
Yeah, but with the meaning of darkening.
Yes.
Becoming darker.
Like he was a darkling king. He was it could be, yes. Free in a world of settled anarchy. And I think probably that's quite a bit for tonight. Would you read it for us, Vladimir, since we have so few people tonight?
Sure.
Good, wonderful.
Hardly she availed, wallowing to bear and live. A wide and quiet mist of seeking space, a rayless region swallowed its magic swaths, and seemed unnamed, unbodied and unhoused, a swaddled, visionless and formless mind asked for a body to translate its soul. Its prayer denied, it fumbled after thought. As yet not powered to think, hardly to live, it opened into a weird and pygmy world, where this unhappy magic had its source. On dim confines, where life and matter meet, he wandered among things half seen, half guessed, pursued by ungrasped beginnings and lost ends. There life was born, but died before it could live. There was no solid ground, no constant drift. Only some flame of mindless will had power. Himself was dim to himself, half felt, obscure, as if in a struggle of the void to be. In strange domains where all was living sense, but mastering thought was not, nor cause nor rule, only a crude child heart cried for toys of bliss, mind flickered, a disordered infant glow, a random shapeless energies drove towards form, and took each wisp fire for a guiding sun. This blindfold force could place no thinking step. Asking for light, she followed darkness' clue. An inconscient power groped towards consciousness. Matter, smitten by matter, glimmered to sense. Blind contacts, slow reactions beat out sparks of instinct from a cloaked subliminal bed. Sensations crowded, dumb substitutes for thought. Perception answered nature's awakening blows, but still was a mechanical response, a jerk, a leap, a start in nature's dream, and rude, unchastened impulses jostling ran, heedless of every motion but their own, and, darkling, clashed with darker than themselves, free in a world of settled anarchy.
Thank you so much.
Yes, when we read this, you can feel that you went into very kind of obstructed, the words, everything, syllables. He builds up the whole sense of it even. Yes. Very difficult to read. It's not the flow of the spirit. It's all somehow heavy. Yeah.
Yes, blocked.
Blocked, yeah, very good.
Well, Happy New Year all.
Happy New Year, Narad.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Good night. Good night.
New Year. Thanks, Narad and Vladimir, for this session.